everybody for coming out. Appreciate everybody taking a little time here. We'll try to keep this short and sweet, about 40, 45 minutes. Just discuss a few plays and feel free to jump in. We just ask that you try to stay muted until you want to talk. Keeps the background noise down. So I'm going to talk about a couple things here, and then Dave's going to do his 6 plays. First thing I want to talk about is the new case play they just put in this year on an illegal screen. They've added the fact, basically the play says, if the defender is wider than his shoulders with his feet, and the offensive player or the defensive player runs into his torso, is that a legal screen? And the answer is no. They're really not too concerned about how wide you are, right? I think that maybe was a little misnomer. I know I was kind of guilty of it, of seeing that wide stance and hitting the shoulders and going the other way. When actually, really, when it gets wide like that, they really want you to look more for, knee or hip or shin or stuff like that, right? Then you got to get it. But if he's a tall kid and he's wide, they want him to get down and get a nice athletic stance to be able to take that hit, and we're gonna let him do that as long as they're within the torso area, which is basically from your waist to your shoulders. So just a little food for thought there. They helped us out on that. And then the second thing I want to talk about, I guess, does anybody want to talk about that, or do you have any questions on that?
You have the case number on that, Don?
Yeah, it's 43 .2, because there was already one in there, and the one that was in there didn't really say a whole lot. And then it's a situation B. So it's brand new this year, so take a look at that if you get some time. And it's just clarifying that we're not too concerned about the wide stance if the contact is in the torso area. All right. The next thing I want to talk about real quick is travels. It's the toughest call that we have in the game, and it just keeps getting tougher. It's been a point of emphasis probably 15, 20 times in the last 30, 40 years. It's just really tough, and it's getting tougher every year because they keep dreaming up new things and tweaking it and figuring out how to push the envelope, so to speak, right? And these kids are getting more and more athletic, and it's trickling down to our game. And there's a couple hacks that can help you with this, but it's tough. I mean, at the end of the day, you only have 2 sets of eyes, and you can't be at the floor and at the waist where the ball is, right? And I think everybody knows that you have to have 2 hands on the ball, have possession, right? There's 3 ways to possess the ball. You can palm it, you can let it rest in your palm, or you can put 2 hands on it. And in our game, it's pretty much 2 hands. We don't see much palming, and we don't see much resting in the palm, right? So if you say to yourself, I cannot have anything until I have 2 hands on the ball and I have firm and secure possession of that ball, right? So everything before that means absolutely nothing. It could get very ugly. They could bobble it. They could do lots of things with that ball. But if they do not have 2 hands on it, there's no pivot. There's no nothing, right? It's just ugly, right? Once we get that, then we got to figure out, was he in the air? Was he on the ground? Did he have 2 feet on the ground? Did he have 1 foot on the ground, right? That's where it gets tricky, right? Because we got to be at 2 places at once, and it's very hard to do. So what the Federation is saying is, do not split hairs here, right? Don't be the smartest guy in the room, right? And think that you saw a little this or a little that. Like, let these guys catch the ball. They're trying to catch the ball in the air. Let them catch the ball in the air. Let them gather that ball off a dribble in the air and come down. And if it's blatantly obvious, they come down left to right or right to left. That's their pivot. If it's close, they caught the ball in the air and they landed on 2, right? And that's what they're coaching them now, right? because that way they have more options. And then go left, right, or right, left, right. And another good hack to think about: left-handers are right foot pivoters, and right-handers are left foot pivoters in good basketball, right? In good high school basketball, right? Maybe a different story in junior high and stuff, but we got to know that, right? That's a huge hack, right? Because now we know that 95% of these kids on that floor are what? They're left foot pivoters, right? So that'll help you, and it may catch you. Because a lot of us get caught on the non-pivot foot, taking a couple jab steps, right? And we put a whistle on it, when actually it was the left foot that was down the whole time, right? So that'll help you kind of get ahead of that a little bit, but it's very tough, right? And if you don't know, and it's just ugly, right? We got to pass on them, right? And let these kids be athletic. That's what everybody wants, right? That's the new game now. They're leapers, right? That's a fairly new term too when we talk about gathering the ball. You know, for most of these generations, we stepped from left to right, right? And now they figured out you can leap from left to right, right? And you can land on one foot and you can catch that ball in that process, right? So I jump off of one, gather the ball, put two hands on it, and land on one. And now what can I do, right? I've really done nothing right now, right? I'm just standing there with one foot. Well, now they'll leap off of that foot and land on a second foot, right? And then they can go to the rim from there, and that's where the Euro step comes in. But they're even going one step further now, where they're actually doing that just off the dribble at the top of the key, right? They will just leap from left to right, and or stationary, right? They'll catch the ball, they'll go around a chair in practice, and they'll catch that ball with two hands, 2 feet off the floor, land on two, right? So they're training these guys to learn how to catch that ball without having that pivot foot on the floor like we all did for years, right? Why? Because they have more advantages. They can go left or right. And we don't want to get that scissors or that quick little, oh, I think he had a foot down or not, right? Just pass on that stuff. Let them do that, right? So try to work on that. It's really hard. And then the other big one that we're really missing a lot is just the flat out fumble, right? The whole place blows up on you. You're gonna have to take a punch. You know, the whole bench is going travel. Grandma and grandpa are all going travel, and all the kid really did is just fumble the ball, right? And he took 4 or 5 steps, and he's kind of bummed out. He's pissed at himself, whatever, right? But he's just fumbling the ball. It's not illegal. So try to stay off those quick whistles. Let it play out. If you're not 100%, we cannot put a whistle on it. Anybody have any questions on that? Then just the last thing on this, and I'll let Dave take over, is just when it gets a little tricky, right? We have two hands on the ball. We have an airborne shooter. The defense blocks it. So we have two hands on the ball, a defender and an offensive player. We have two choices right now, right? We can either go out ball or kind of let it play out and see what happens, right? If it's just a quick touch or something, we're going to let that play out. He may play right through it and get to the rim, right? But that's probably going to be a nothing most of the times, unless it's really secure with both hands. I have a hand on it. The offense has a hand on it, right? If that defender lets go of that ball and that offensive player lands with that ball in his hands, that is a travel, right? And those are really your only two options there. He's either going to get it to the rim, get through that light touch, we're going to have a possession, or he's going to let go of it, the offensive player lands, and now we have a travel. So, again, another one you really got to process and think about, because it looks funky, but most times it's just going to be a play on, right? Let it happen. He probably will not take it all the way to the ground. He'll probably wing it up there or something, and they probably will not possess it together at the peak of that jump, right? But it could happen. If it does, jump in there and get it. But most times it's going to be a play on, right? But no, if he does take it back to the ground, that is a travel. And that can be a little tricky. So, alrighty, Dave.
I got a question on that.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So I just had that similar scenario. The player tried to do a Euro step. Mid-air, the defender stripped the ball. And then when the offensive player landed, the ball landed right back in his lap. He pivoted and put it up for a layup. Would that be a travel? Or just let the play happen. The three of us discussed it at halftime, and we just determined let the play happen.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. That's a great
I would
question.
agree with that.
It's a great question. Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason why is because we have the tip.
We have the tip. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
All right. Well, we got a great turnout tonight. Got over 20 participants, so should have some good dialogue on this. Thanks everyone for joining, and let's get this started. Okay, so we're going to look at this first clip. We'll just play it through real quick, and then we'll break it down and talk a little bit more in detail of what we're seeing on this. Okay, we had a lot going on this thing, so let's just slow this thing down, walk through it. When I saw this play, I'm like, what just happened? Was there, what is really going on here? So let's first of all, I'm going to speed this up just to get through the part that I think is important to us. So we got a basket made here, ball's taken out of bounds. You got number 3 over here on the left, anticipating an inbounds pass. And what does he do? He comes in and he deflects it. But before this happens, one of the things that it's important to understand is that right now, who has team control of the basketball? The black team does. They don't have player control on the court or team control on the court at this point. So the only reason why there's considered team control out of bounds right now is because if black team fouls, there'll be no shots. There'll be no shooting if the other team is in the bonus. So there's no control on the court. This is still out of bounds, but it's still considered team control for the purposes of foul shooting. So the ball gets inbounded, deflected right here by 3. Does anybody have team control right now? Or player control? No.
No.
Ball's loose. Yeah, ball's loose. And then 3, man, what an athlete. He comes, runs this down. Now, does he have control of the ball? Does he have 2 hands on the ball? Got control? Now, yes, he does. So now White has team control. Now the question becomes, I'm not going to split hairs here because I can't really tell on my screen if he's on the half court line or not. But there's the 3 exceptions that if you're playing defense, you're allowed to, we won't get into that right now, but let's just assume that he's not hitting the line. The official's right there, throws the ball back. So he clearly has control of the ball. So I think it's safe to say that we have team control by the white team. Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got team control for white. Throws it back. 20's going down, probably afraid he's going to be called for a travel. I'm not really sure. He's got fumble finger. I'm not really sure what goes on, but the ball gets tossed to the back. You got the black defender here. And the black team reaches. Does he touch it or does he not? Looks like he just misses under it. Okay, so he didn't touch it. Now what happens? Do we have a backcourt violation?
Yes.
Yes, unless the black team touched it.
Unless the black team touched it, exactly. So let's just back this up and walk through it again. Now, this would be really difficult play live. Once you determine, and this is one of the keys and when it comes to backcourt violations, is understanding when the team has team control in their front court. You can't have a backcourt violation if there's not team control in the front court. We determined right here that we have team control. So we've met the first criteria. The second criteria is you got to be the last to touch in the front court and then first to touch in the back court. So we have criteria number one is team control in the front court right here. We have it. White tosses it to the back. Doesn't look like black touched it there. Here, let's go with he didn't touch it. Doesn't look like it now. So I'm going to assume he didn't touch it. Let's go with he didn't touch it. So they were last to touch in the front court, first to touch in the back court. By rule, this is a backcourt violation. Now, they didn't call it here, and I can understand why, because there was a lot going on that play. Now, to throw a little curveball in on this play as well, let's back it up a little bit more, and let's do a little what if. Okay? We've established that white has team control. Okay? Let's say both teams are in the bonus right now, and the white player trips number I don't know, I'm not sure what number this is right here. I can't really read it, but the player who just missed touching the ball. Let's just say, for instance, he was tripped by white. What happens? Call the foul, then what? Do we go down and shoot two free throws if we're in the bonus?
No, it's a team control foul.
Absolutely, team control foul. But I guarantee you, every one of us on this call has probably had a play happen where the ball was knocked around, batted around, both team possessing, not possessing, and a foul occurs, and we go give the bonus because we didn't realize that they were in team control. So now, what if black fouls here? Let's say the instead of a trip here was a push by the black team. Do we shoot free throws if both teams are in the bonus?
White shoots 2 free throws.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just business as usual. But those are the hard plays to, that's why understanding when a team has team control, when a ball is loose, in your mind, first thing you need to say is, all right, who had team control last? So when the ball is loose, the team that was last, once it's inbounded, the team that has it last in control remains in control until it's possessed by the other team. So if it's a loose ball, like for instance here's you could say, all right, white fumbled it into the back court. They had team control. They still have team control. If a foul occurred right now by the white team, they're still in team control. So therefore there would not be free throws being shot. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone? It's difficult live, man. This is not easy. And I'm not faulting any of these officials in this game here at all. I'm just using because I thought it was a great example of team control, backcourt violation, and how to define it. And if you made that call and you go to the coach and coach starts complaining, no way, is that a backcourt violation? How can you call that? Well, then you break it down. Coach, you were last to touch in the front court. You had team control in the front court. You were last to touch in the front court and first to touch in the back court. That's why it's a backcourt violation by rule. And then by the time his head stops spinning, when you explain it to him, he's not going to argue with you anymore because, you said by rule. So it's important that we can explain to coaches because if I'm coaching, I'm going to question, well, what's going on here because it just didn't look like anybody really had control. So how could it be, you know, a backcourt violation? So it's really tricky. But I thought that was a good play. Any questions?
I have a question, Dave. This is Dave Spalding. Let's say an offensive player is in their front court just over the half court line,
Yep.
and a defensive player slaps the ball and hits it upward and knocks it off, let's say the girl's head, because it may have happened, and it goes into the back court, and the girl goes and retrieves it. The offensive girl goes and retrieves it.
Right.
So team control has not changed.
Right.
The last person to touch it was the offensive player.
Yeah.
That's over and back, correct?
That's correct. That's a backcourt violation. And that you get in trouble every time because everybody said it was deflected. Yeah, it was deflected by the defense, but it was deflected back into the offense in the front court. So the offense was the last to touch. Team control is still in the white team. And even though the defensive team, the black team deflected it, it hit off the team in control last. So they're last to touch in the front court with team control, and then they're first to touch in the back court. That is a violation. And every time it happens, and it usually happens once or twice each season, the coach they just can't believe it because they're just so used to it that it was touched. And when you go over and explain to them, that usually calms them down a little bit. And sometimes it doesn't matter. They're just, going to do what they do. But that's it's a backcourt violation by rule. Great question, Dave. those are the ones that coaches get upset about because they know they're right. Everybody in the stands thinks they're right too, but it's a backcourt violation. Anybody else have any input? Any questions? But man, yeah, that's a tough one to get live. I can tell you right now. All right, let's look at play number 2 here. This is more about positioning. So just think about officials positioning on this play. Ball's coming up the court. Whose responsibility is it right now? If
Trail.
player, yeah,
Trail.
trails all over this. This is obviously the trail. Now, this is the things that are still difficult to this day for officials is now he crosses the he crosses the mid-court line. We have our C who's in transition. He's got eyes on the ball. Everything's looking okay right here. Trail can still take this, even though we're in that gray area. He's straddling kind of a little bit more in the C's area, but the trail had it coming up. But as soon as that ball is passed, whose responsibility is it?
C's.
It goes to C.
Now it goes to C. So what we have to realize is that now we need to see how the official has his eyes right here, right now. Now he might also be looking over this way a little bit too, because you got some peripheral. Now he turns. He says, okay, that's in the C, so he does a good job, disengages. Now watch what the C does. This is some of the important things in when you're starting to rotate or when to rotate, when not to rotate. I know for sure that this is picked up by the C because why? What does it do? That tells me 100% certain that he has this. He starts
He
counting.
moves up to it.
Yeah, he steps to it and starts counting.
Opens his shoulders.
Yeah. So now I know if I'm in the trail, I know I can. He has that. So I have nothing to do with that play anymore. That where the ball is, I can take myself elsewhere. Also, when he stepped out, he's in what position? The C. What does that tell us?
He's going to trail.
Yeah, if I'm
They should
going
be
to
switching.
exactly. Great input. He's going to trail. So watch this now as it comes up again. Watch the dynamics. I'll just play it live and just watch the dynamics of this. Look at the trail. He starts working his way down. Now he doesn't go all the way down because right now the lead should be as soon as this guy steps up. Ultimately, I think, depending on who you talk to, when the C steps up, that signals that, hey, I need help. I mean, look at the number of players over here that he's responsible.
Competitive matchups are big time over there.
Yeah. So right now, the lead he should be coming on over, even though the ball's way above the free throw line extended. He could be getting over there. Now, as soon as this handoff occurs, he comes on over and he gets there. But boy, that's the signals are there to get over there even sooner. Now he gets there in time and everything's fine, but that's just reading the play. And the more games for the younger officials, the more games you do, the game slows down for you. You see this stuff develop, and your body just responds automatically. You just know where to go as you're reading the play, and then comes in and plays finished. So a pretty good job by the crew there. I mean, it's some pretty good read and rotations on that. Any questions on that? Because this is really difficult. These guys, I thought did a pretty good job with this. Let's just back it up and look again. It comes across half court. We know the trail has this. As soon as he passes, the C picks it up. He lets everyone know that's mine now. He steps up, starts counting. That's the key right there. He starts that count. He's engaged. So disengage as the trail.
Yeah, so Dave, just real quick, Dave, a little hack here, right? Because this gets missed a lot, right? We end up with two trails, right? Lead will slide over and the trail will not pick it up. So a good little hack here is ball goes away, you go away. When you're in trail, say to yourself, the ball goes away, I go away. And he's still with that, and he needs to be more at this elbow, right? But you see how he walks away? And then you'll see this lead now, because you're looking at the lead a little bit too, helping out in your peripheral, and he slides over, you're good to go. But if you stay with that ball too long, and the lead slides over. Now we have two trails, and we can have two centers, but we cannot have two trails, right? Because
Yep.
nobody's got this left block down here. So just a little hack.
Yep. Good point, Don. Anybody else have anything to add on that? All right, so I'm just gonna let this play run through here. There's a lot going on this play, so I'll run it full through. It's a little bit longer clip. Okay, so let's just pause for a second right here and just see where everybody is. You got your leads down here. He doesn't have a whole lot of active action going on. His big help could be over here for the C, who's got the ball. He's got two more players down here. So there's a lot going on in the C spot right now. And let's just take it from here. And you got your trail who's engaged over in this area. Shouldn't be ball watching. He shouldn't be looking at the ball here. He should be looking to help over in these other areas. There goes the pass. And look what the C stays with it. Now, one thing that this is hard to know, maybe if his shoulders were square, running parallel with the sideline, it could be a little quicker to pick up on that pass. So if his shoulders were, it would just be his head turning. He's got to turn his whole body. It's a little bit of minutia there, but he does a good job of staying with it. And then what should the trail be thinking right now? We've got 6 players here, 2, 4, and 6. What should the lead be thinking?
You should be getting over there.
Yeah,
Should be flexing.
he should be pinched down, ready to flex on over. And he's a little wide, realizes it, gets on his horse and rides over. Okay, so we got a lot of action here. So I'm just going to play it live from right here, and then we'll back it up from there. Okay, did everybody see what happened? Let's back it up a little bit and walk through it. There's a lot of stuff going on this play. All right, let's start right here. He hands off. The trail sees it. He's got a good look at it right now. Pass goes over. Everybody in pretty good position. Trail could maybe step down a little bit, but C seems to be in good spot. Look down on the block now, right here. You got to watch for a possible screen. He doesn't really screen, but he's trying to post up there, it looks like. What's the defender going to try to do? He's trying to deny him the ball. What's he do with his arm? Comes over the top.
Got him hooked.
So he comes over the top there. You got a bigger, stronger kid. The white, I think that's number 30 maybe. I mean, that's a big, strong kid. And so the official elects to let it play out. Now you got somebody else reaching here. So do you think maybe 30 might be getting a little frustrated? He's got a lot of gnats around him, hacking at him. And then he goes to the corner. And look how he looks on the pass. He looks at the official like, come on, I was just hacked. Meanwhile, his teammate gets a wide open, not a wide open 3, but gets a nice look at a 3, and he scores. But meanwhile, stay with number 30 now. After he passes the ball, he complains. And then what does 12 try to do? The guy that just got thrown to the floor here gets up. You think he's happy? He just got put to the floor, and he kind of maybe embellished it a little bit too. So look what he does. He comes in and tries to box out 30 and just move him way out. Everybody seeing that? And then 30 breaks him in half like a Slim Jim almost, just gently lays him down, which was good. He must be watching a lot of NFL, so you gotta like treat him like a quarterback and don't drive him hard to the ground. But and then look at whose call is this? Whose primary coverage area is this call?
Should be C.
The C. And look what happens on this. The C is on it. Great job by C. Comes running in. He immediately, this isn't your average foul. He comes in. What does the lead do? The lead is all over it. He sees it. He comes in with a fist up. Now watch the C. He comes in. It's his call, right? He comes in, and what does he signal?
Double foul.
Double foul. And then look at what the lead does. Backs him up because it's not his call. Now he's got information for sure, but I just thought it was a great clip to give it to the primary official. You both know there's a foul. I mean, Grandma in the stands can make the call that there's a foul, but give it to the primary, back it up, and then talk about if we need to add. You can always add to this. You could add, flagrant foul this if you wanted to. I mean, but I just thought that was a good job of waiting, being patient, but running in a hurry because this could get heated real quick. Then
But
yeah, go ahead.
that wouldn't have happened if they would have got 12 down on the block to begin with on 30. Get the
Yes.
first foul.
Yep. It got aggressive and it continued to go. And you had two frustrated players that thought they were probably done wrong. And then it led to that. Exactly. And so now look at the trail. What does the trail do? You got the lead running in, you got the C running in. What's the trail's job at this point? Should he run in there too and help everybody out?
He needs to see all the players, and from his spot, it'd be hard to see the benches, but he has to know if
Yep.
if it escalates, if anyone's coming from behind him.
Yep. So he holds his ground, doesn't squeeze in. He's got an eye on he knows where all the players are. And now the first thing you should be thinking, this is an atypical play. This isn't something you see, every game necessarily, or you're not going to see this often. So the first thing as a crew is let's get these players to the bench, so we can sort this out because we got to figure this thing out because this was a double foul isn't something you see every day, and we got to sort this out. So you can see they start saying, go to your bench. And the lead and the C start talking about. Meanwhile, the trail stays deep to make sure you don't even see him now because he's backed up, doing a good job making sure there's no interaction between the players. And then White, he shoos him on in, I'm guessing. That's what happened here, just based on what I could tell. And so now all the explaining happens. Okay, so someone chime in here and what do you think, based on what you saw, on what was called? You can't go back and, call the foul that happened down on the block earlier, but based on, we saw that there's a double foul. What do we do now? How do we sort it out from here?
You need to go to the bench and talk to your team captains and your coaches and say, hey, calm it down, calm it down. We don't want to have to keep on going from here.
Yeah,
Get under control.
Yep, you certainly could do that. Definitely could. Would not hurt to communicate there. So how do we sort this out from here? Whose ball is it? Who's shooting free throws, or are we shooting free throws?
Double foul would be point of interruption.
Yep, double foul is always point of interruption.
Black ball out of bounds.
Yep, black ball out of bounds because the basket went in, did it not?
Yes.
We don't wave it off. We don't wave it off. The shot was already released before the foul occurred, or before it was called. I mean, there was fouls occurred long before the shot went off, but that's a whole other part. And so you can see the official in here. He's saying we're going to have basically alternating possession. And
These are
now the trail comes in and says, hey guys, we got to count this basket because they haven't even talked about counting the basket. And I'm not sure what else he's saying, but they signal basket is good. He's saying the basket went in. So now look at the official goes to the table, talk about it. He's going to eventually go to the table. Basket's good. See in motion, basket's good. And he goes, we got to help. You watch his hands. Let me move this bar out of the way. He signals alternating possession. Now, everything was good with that except the alternating possession. Now, if I'm the white team, am I happy or am I sad on this call? And why?
Are you getting the ball back or not?
You gain an advantage. Either you get the ball when you shouldn't have it, or you got the arrow flipped so the next time there's a jump ball.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. He's in good. He got a great deal on this because basket went in, so if there wasn't a foul, the black team's going to have the ball, right? So now they went to alternating possession. It was obviously black's possession. So now the next possession is going to be whose ball? It's going to be white. So white made out really well here. And that's why knowing the rules and, getting it right can alter the game. I mean, this looks like it's a 35, 39, maybe to 35 ball game in the fourth quarter. So this is a good game. And so this is a crucial time. And now there'll probably be a held ball at some point between now and the end of this game, and it's going to go White's way. When in fact it really should be the next one should be Black's. So, anything else anybody like to add on this? There's a lot going on and a lot to sort out, and they did a pretty good job. But they didn't nail the it should have just been point of interruption, basket good, going the other way.
Why? Because the double foul has got to be neutral, right? We cannot give one team the advantage. And this is a very common. I did this a lot in my career. I think a lot of people in this room probably have, right? You call that and you go to the arrow, but you have to process what exactly happened at the point of interruption. If that shot did not go in, yes, so we go to the arrow. If the ball is loose, yes, we go to the arrow. But if we have possession, we cannot penalize one team for two neutral fouls.
Yeah. As soon as that shot was released, that shot's going to, on a double foul at that point, if that shot goes in, it counts. And that's your point of interruption. And they should have just went to point of interruption. Now, this is another thing that you always to remember. Watch what the official does now. He goes to take the ball out of bounds. And then he goes over. What he did was he probably looked at his partners and saw how they were situated and realized that I better get over here before I inbound the ball. That way we're balanced and let's go. So that, it's just a good little tip to remember. Always before you inbound the ball, just take a quick glance at your partners, make sure they're ready, make sure, everybody's set and ready to go. I mean, I know I've done it. I've handed the ball in and my partner's not ready. I mean, it happens sometimes. So just as a reminder, that's always a good thing to do. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add on that? All right, let's go into play number 4 real quick.
School.
Steph, you mute bottom left.
Okay, so how we looking position-wise right here? You got your trail looking here. He's also we got to worry about these players over here because he's in the trail's primary coverage area. The lead. So once again, what are we thinking if we're in the lead right now? What are we thinking that we might want to think about doing?
Sitting on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, this court is unbalanced. It's starting to get, the C's got a lot of responsibility over here right now. Doesn't mean you have to go over right then and there, but you have to be ready because we don't know what's going to happen next. And let's just move this. Okay, so on this play, the player drives. So on a drive, we know we're not going to rotate if there's a drive to the basket. Okay, so the lead stays. But what I really liked on this play was who has the ball right now? The C has the ball. Okay, so it switches when these arrows disappear. This foul happens very quickly. But watch the timing of this. Who made the call? Who made the foul call?
The trail did.
Trail did. Who was the primary coverage area? Who could have made that call? The C could have, but he got a little bit stacked. I mean, he wasn't, so look at this. And what I really liked about what the trail did on this, they didn't get in a hurry and whistle it, but look at 22 clearly holds, but it's the C probably wasn't 100% sure how much that affected the play. The trail waits, gives the C first crack at it, and then he comes in and says, "Okay, I'm gonna call this foul before this gets out of hand," because he clearly held him. So I just thought it was a great example of being patient with the whistle, give the primary official the first crack at it. He didn't feel comfortable. He didn't see enough to feel comfortable enough to make that call. The trail sees it, calls it. I just thought that was good, a good example of being patient with the whistle. Any comments on that? He points to the sideline, take it out, reports the foul. Okay, so now this is going to be one of those, is this a backcourt violation or not situation? What do you guys think? Let me back it up again, play it again. I'll freeze it. Do you have a backcourt violation on that, or do you have play on?
Play on.
Play on.
Play on.
Okay, so what if I'm the opposing coach and I say, how in the, Dave, how in the heck did you not, how is that not a backcourt violation?
Throw an exception.
Yeah, there's 3 exceptions, and that's one of them. Let's back it up. On the throw-in, you're allowed to catch the ball with 1 foot on either side, doesn't matter which one hits first. He jumps, you could call it, lands on his right foot, catches. Now he's got control of the ball, steps over the line. That's one of the 3 exceptions that are allowed. But what is the official call?
Or back.
Because he says it's a backcourt violation, we're going the other way. And look at it again, catches it. He has control of it. Now, if he would have caught with both feet on this side and then stepped over, that would be a backcourt violation. But that he caught it, his right foot comes down as he catches it right there. Does his left foot touch in the front court? If it does, it looks to me like it. Yeah, it doesn't clearly
look like it.
Yeah, so that was an official. He missed that one. Just remember, on a throw-in, he's allowed to catch it. There's 3 exceptions on a jump ball and on a defensive player. So if a defensive player did that, they're allowed to intercept the ball. Let's say White was going. Let's say White intercepts this ball and straddles the line just like the defender, or just like the offensive players. Let's say that was a defensive player. He can catch it and land with 1 foot in the front court and 1 foot in the back court. That's not, that's one of the 3 exceptions. So it's just important that you can, break it down and explain that if a coach needed an explanation, you just got to explain it. But, I don't know if anybody complained on this particular call or not, but because, it does look funny and a lot of people don't know the intricacies of that call. It's a tough one to make live sometimes, but if you're inbounding the ball, just got to remember they can land with 1 foot, and doesn't matter which one lands first. It could be in the back court, then the front court, that's fine, or front court, then back court. Anybody have any questions on that one?
I don't know if the video goes any farther, but where do we put the ball in play with that throwing?
Yeah, good point. Yep. Absolutely. They take it at where? Where are they taking this? In the wrong spot.
Should be at the 28 foot line.
In the new front court.
Yep. And the new, because this was a backcourt violation, which puts it in the other team's offensive end. So if it was a backcourt violation, it should be taken at the 28-foot mark, right over here by the bench. Yep, good pickup. All right, we got a bonus play. Play number 6 here. White's got the ball. Okay, whose ball is it?
Wait.
Gave it the wrong team.
Okay, so that's good. So, so let's just slow this down a little bit. And so let's back it up here. The ball goes in. Now, players, you talk to them, you can say, white ball, you can point, but they don't always pick up on it. So I don't know if 3 was trying to be deceptive here. He looks to me like he just thought it was off white and he's going to go take it out of bounds. Meanwhile, what does the white team do?
They changed players.
They change players. Yep. So they start walking away. And so the person that might have taken the ball out of bounds is no longer there. You got the new guys coming in. This might be their first time coming into the game. So they're happy to be in there. They're trying to figure out, where they're supposed to be, maybe. Their last thing they're thinking about is I'm taking the ball out of bounds.
Okay, well, your lead even pointed white.
Yes. Yep. This happened, and this actually, happened in my game the other day. There was, so we caught it in plenty of time, but it was still. So now there's the new rule. Does anybody know what the new rule is that was added this year for this particular type of play?
Correctable error before the next dead ball, I believe.
Yes, exactly it.
I was going to say this is the point of interruption before the next made basket, right?
Yeah, or dead ball or change of possession. So,
Okay.
so basically, ball's in
Okay.
play. It's not dead. So we can correct this. We can correct. We can correct. We can correct. Correct. We can correct. I mean, there's a lot. This is playing. We can correct. We can correct. We can still correct it. Now, let's back it up here. So look at the coach for Kingsley over here. Just watch him. He realizes something's not right. Watch his arms. He's going, hey, wait, what's going on here? Hold it. Well, but everybody's just kind of caught off guard here, and we still can correct it if we recognize it. Shot goes up and then rebound. Now it ends. Change of possession. We cannot correct this. As much as let's say we discovered it right now, too late. Whereas last year, once that ball was inbounded, you could not correct it. So I thought this was a good rule change to allow officials a chance to correct it. And in this case, it didn't get corrected, but it happens and we all make mistakes. I mean, we got a good crew out there, and like I said, it happened in my game where the official inbounded to the wrong team, but we caught it right away, which was good. So now it allows the official administrating a throw in to the wrong team to correct the mistake before the first dead ball after the ball becomes live, unless there's a change of possession. The change of possession came on that rebound. So just gives you more reasonable time. That was the rationale. Anybody ever have that happen to them?
I was with you on Friday, Dave.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably how you thought of this.
Yeah. We already had this.
It was a middle school game in Onekama, but it's happened.
Yeah, it happens, and it's one of those things that you just you gotta you do the best you can. I mean, you officiate enough, you're gonna have some crazy plays that get by you, and this has happened to all of us. If you do enough officiating, it's gonna happen. But it's just knowing that you have time to correct it, whereas before, and in the Kingsley game, the coach, we corrected it, and it was in this time. It was funny. It was Kingsley that this happened to in this game, and the other night when it happened to us, it was the Kingsley coach. And only this time he was going to have a breakaway for a wide open, shot probably at the other end, at least have a good scoring opportunity. And we caught it in plenty of time, and it was just coach says, "Hey, we had a wide open look down there." And I said, "Well, coach, last year, that you would have gotten that look, but that rule has changed." And he kind of laughed because I think he probably knew what was going on at that point. But it's just happens, and just be aware of the rule that you do have time to correct that. And a lot of time can pass, and you still can correct it. So.
Is this a situation where you can correct the clock as well if you have definite knowledge?
I believe you can, yes.
You know,
I believe you
especially
can.
if it's late in the game. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mess with it early in the game, but yeah, definitely late in the game. But I mean, full disclosure here, you guys. So I'm in the lead here, right? So a little hall of shame here, but I wanted to get this play out there because I think it's important. You know, number one, just to show, hey, this stuff happens. Number two, and it actually was 2 years ago, Dave. It was not this year, but
Okay.
we had plenty this year, but we had a bunch last year too, right? And we huddle up afterwards, right? And all three of us were like, totally forgot about that rule, right? And where I'm going with this, it's like sometimes it doesn't hurt to go back and look what happened last year. The 4 or 5 changes and 4 or 5 changes this year. So we've had 10 changes in 2 years, right? And my first thought was, well, it's not one of the 5. And my partners were like, yeah, it's not one of the 5. None of us thought about that change, right? And when we could have corrected that. And we see this a lot in junior high and stuff and in JV, but it can happen anywhere, right? Especially when you have a whole new group of kids in there, right? And pay attention to who you're handing the ball to. It's that simple, right? So, and then freshen up on the rules because it'd been great to be able to fix this. I honestly thought they stole it. I mean, I was so clueless of who I handed that ball to that they throw it in, they dribble 3 or 4 times, and I look and I go, how in the hell did Green get the ball? Right? Like I thought, well, maybe they had a quick steal or something I missed, right? It was just weird. And then my partners are like, we thought maybe you just changed it, right? Which could have happened too, right? If you're in C in the scenario, you could say, well, maybe Don just flipped it and decided to go green and I missed it, right? So it doesn't hurt to get together, but the big thing takeaway here is, stay on top of all these new rules. There's a ton of them, and it's hard to keep track of everything. It's got to happen to you a few times, but at the end of the day, pay attention to who you're handing the ball to, whether it's a 7th grader or a varsity team, because it can happen quick. So, anybody got anything else?
Yeah, and Don, just to add to that, so let's say you're a newer official and you're up on these rules, and you're all gung ho, and you've been in the game a year or 2, maybe 3 years, and this ball's inbounded, and all of a sudden you think, man, that was White's ball. Does it really hurt anything if you blew the whistle right here and said, hey, let's talk? I mean, are we really denying a easy scoring opportunity? Probably not. So it's okay, you could blow the whistle and say, hey, let's talk about this. Something's not right. But just because you're a younger official doesn't mean, sometimes you're up on the rules because you're new and you're trying to absorb as much as you can. And so it's okay to, you could have blown the whistle here. Worst thing happened is you take the ball out and start all over again, and no harm, no foul, because you're not, creating a situation that's disadvantaged anybody here. It's just making sure we get the call right for the good of the game. Because a lot of
Great
times,
point.
yeah, a lot of times newer officials, they're just, man, I'm with some veterans here. They, hey, veterans make mistakes just like anybody. I mean, no one's perfect out there, and it's okay to speak up, because even if you're wrong, you're probably going to learn something from it of why you were wrong, why you thought that, and that's fine, because we could have corrected that, or that the crew could have corrected that one. So,
And let's be honest, right? Pride. Check the ego at the door, right? Why didn't I blow my whistle? Why didn't my 2 partners blow their whistle? Well, we don't want to show everybody we were wrong, right? Check the ego at the door, hit your whistle, and at least talk about it, right? And in our scenario, we probably wouldn't have changed it because none of us could remember that rule, the new rule. But it's no big deal, right? Take 30 seconds and get it right. And check the ego at the door. And this is just a great example of where, a little bit of pride gets in the way. We can make these right, or at least try to make them right. So good stuff. Are you all set, Dave?
yep.
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the play number 3 on the double foul and the shot, if that would have been missed, it should have gone to the possession arrow, correct? With it being made, it would have gone with the defensive team, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, guys. Really appreciate you guys coming out, taking some time.
Hey, real quick.
Yep.
I got something. So, during the JV game at halftime, if varsity players are dunking the basketball, does that result in a technical for the beginning of the varsity game, or do we just let it ride?
Well, that's a good one.
Say it one more time.
During halftime of the JV basketball game, varsity players are dunking the basketball. Do we let that ride, or do we call a technical for the beginning of the varsity game?
No, we don't do anything. No, we don't do anything. We care less what they do.
We just let them go.
That's what they do. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy
Great
the
question.
show.
Great question. Yeah, great question, Gabe. Yeah, great question, Gabe. Yeah. Just like the JV kids can dunk.
No, there were no JV players doing it. It was the varsity players on the floor during halftime.
Right, but all I'm saying is flipped.
To be flipped.
Right.
Well, I just didn't realize if it was any different than varsity players coming out and dunking before the start of their game.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
They can shoot threes and beat the contest and
do whatever they want.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good
All
stuff.
right,
Great
boys.
question.
Have a good one. Good job, boys.
Yeah, thank you, Gabe. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you guys next Sunday at 7.
Good job.
Thanks, everyone.
Take
Great. Have a good night.
See you guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep, thanks, Don.
Good job, Dave. Donnie.
Yeah, thanks, Ronnie.